So pot shots, Oliver Platt, England lost the European Championship again.
That's a bad segue.
I made sure that I waited yesterday. I wasn't going to make any jokes despite Jimmy Brennan coming up to you immediately saying, come on, England, come on, England. And I was expecting hands to be thrown, but you were reserved, saving it for this moment. Obviously, devastating for the English again to come so close and to not get there in the end. Does anything drastic need to change, whether the coaching decisions, whether the players on the pitch, or is it as simple as they were beat by a really good Spanish team?
Well, yeah, that's the first thing I'll say, and I swear that this isn't just a coping mechanism. I genuinely believe this, and I did believe this going into the match. I didn't expect us to win yesterday. Like I thought they were the second best team by a distance, and Spain deserved to win the tournament. They won all 7 games. They beat everyone notable who was in the tournament. Like you can't argue with it. So I wasn't as disappointed yesterday as I was after 2020 when they were at home and they played against an Italy team that was good but not as good as that Spain team, had the lead in the game. That one was tougher to take, I think, than this one. In terms of changes, I'm pretty sure the coach will change. I don't think Gareth Southgate will continue after this. He's been England manager for a while now. 4 tournaments is quite a long time. I'm certainly not going to be one of the people who joins the chorus of slating Gareth Southgate and blaming, putting all of this at his feet. I don't think that's true at all. And I think he'll leave with one of the best records of any England manager ever. I don't think that's an overstatement at all when you look at England's record at major tournaments prior to his arrival. But the reality is that we did not play well at this tournament. And it's his job as manager to find solutions to some of the problems that were there, the problems at left back and midfields, and he just struggled to do that. So as much as I give him a lot of credit for what happened in 2018 and 2020, and even in 2022 when they were beaten by a very good France side that made the final, I think this one was, they did fall short based on their talent level. And so it's probably time after 4 tournaments as a result of that for a fresh direction and something new.
Gareth, do you agree?
I will slate the manager, and I have no problem doing so. I want to be very clear here. I grew up a massive England supporter. Like I was the guy running around. I remember Italia 90 running around the block with the England flag. And I was a guy with the flag on my cars because Canada was never in a World Cup or a major competition. And the Welsh weren't either, Adam. But I kind of parked my England fandom when Wales kind of emerged, and Wales not being in this tournament welcomed me back into the England fray. And I felt as the tournament kicked off, I came into it really excited about their prospects. I mean, there's generational talent on this England side and a group with expectation. And watching them play over the course of this tournament, I fell out of it again. I was so bored and uninspired by the way that this group of superstars played. I almost lost interest until the final came around. Because in a final, you're thinking, well, anything can happen. All you need is a Jude Bellingham moment or an Ollie Watkins moment, and you might be able to see something different. And guess what? You had a flicker with the Cole Palmer goal. But what I saw was a team that was nowhere near as tactically proficient or as well coached as Spain. And that, for me, was the biggest difference here. De La Fuente might not have the name recognition as Gareth Southgate, but he won at under 19 with Spain. He won at under 21 with Spain, the European Championship. He came runner-up in the Olympics. This guy's a winner. And he brought a collection of players with Alvaro Morata and different players in this team. Cucurella, players that are ridiculed in the UK. And he turned them into the best team in this tournament. What did England do under Southgate? A manager that had no idea how to get the best out of these players. A manager that had no idea how to make changes within games, let alone between games, how to bring the best out of this group. A manager who's completely schooled in every trick of the trade. People say, well, he's the most successful England manager. Okay, I get all that. 2018, they were in a group with Belgium, Tunisia, and Panama, and had to get through Colombia in penalties, then Sweden, and then like their path to the semifinals was so straightforward, just like this time around. In 2020, they played every game but one at home. The other game was played in Rome, and was played against Ukraine. Like, come on. They'd be gifted the easiest path in every tournament. I think it's a downright incompetent that he couldn't have got more. Southgate is a great guy. I get it. Make him an administrator. Have him help run the FA if you want. He is not a top manager to get the most out of top players. There was no width in this team. They had no idea how to play from wide areas. A player like Trent Alexander-Arnold, an actual really good distributor of the ball, was nailed to the bench when England was screaming out for someone that would get forward and be able to distribute. I think that a lot of this falls at his feet. I'm sorry. And he's a really good guy. I understand the benefits he brought to this program, but this is an unmitigated failure for England. That with this group of players, with this team, more was expected. This was their time, and they wasted away with a manager that simply did not know what to do with the clock or anything else.
Starting the segment, I said, Ollie, let it out. You should vent. But I really should have just put that on wheels, because the passion that you had there, young man, was needed. And some more of the England players maybe needed that yesterday. All I'm going to say about Southgate in terms of the decisions that he made, this notion that certain players have to play and have to start, I think should have died a little bit for England. That's all I'm going to add. And if specifically, I'm not going to say that he should take all the blame, because I understand you're captaining a side, you're Harry Kane, like it's a big tournament, you want to go and play. But I just think we need to get back to a situation where you do what's best for a team and you play players where you need to play them to get the best out of the group. Sometimes that means your star player that's been so great for England might have to sit or might have to get subbed earlier at halftime. I just think Southgate in those situations, he was in a bind, and you favor the guys that you know and that you trust. But it's okay to shake some things up, and I think he should have done that this tournament.
They had a lower tournament XG than Croatia, who were knocked out at the group stage, 6.43.
Yeah, no one's
in two finals. Harry Kane has touched the ball once in the opposition's box. Once.
You're not going to get any argument that this tournament was England played poorly and Southgate had his part in that. I do not buy at all that the previous three tournaments were anywhere near as bad as they're being made out. They made the final in 2020, lost on penalties. They lost to France at the 2022 World Cup. France were the most talented team in the tournament. And in 2018, do you want to go back and look at the England lineup then? Ashley Young at wingback, Jesse Lingard played like it was nowhere near the caliber of team. It was nowhere near the caliber of team that they have now. So for me, the first three tournaments, he did a good job. This one, he didn't. It's time for a change. I think we can all agree on that. But this idea that this guy is totally at fault for them not winning any of the past four tournaments and it should all be on him is ridiculous. There were a lot of players in that tournament at Euro 2024 this time as well, as much as he had some responsibility. Bellingham had a couple of moments. Otherwise, he was awful. Kane was nowhere to be seen. Foden had a couple of good halves. Like, these players have got to show up at some point as well. They didn't.
Okay, I need to thrust myself in because we are nearly 10 minutes heavy, and England will have that effect. We have another final to talk about, Copa America. It is over. Argentina have won. They've won 3 consecutive major tournaments now, and Lionel Messi, despite the world's biggest ankle, it looked more like a football than an ankle by the end of the match, was able to lift the trophy. But Gareth Wheeler, the match will be marred for the fact that it was a disaster in Miami. Supporters with paid tickets didn't get in, fearing for their safety, people breaking in, sneaking through air conditioning vents, and a lot of finger pointing and self-reflection for a tournament in the United States that will host a country that will host the World Cup in just 2 years, understanding that CONMEBOL is responsible for a lot of it. But what did you make of the scenes yesterday that almost overshadowed Argentina's brilliance?
Yeah, look, this won't happen with a FIFA World Cup coming. I've been to FIFA World Cups. There are three-tiered security perimeters, which quite clearly, I mean, Ollie can talk about his experience that CONMEBOL didn't utilize, and that's where the problems come from. So I don't worry that will translate over, but certainly not the scenes you want to see. Remember, this problems at Wembley at the Euros in 2021 as well. So it's really unfortunate. It doesn't take away from the tournament in general, but clearly when you hear managers like Jesse Marsch say that it wasn't professional enough, you need to take that and make sure that there's improvements. The pitches need to be better. But at the end of the day, history will look at this tournament as being Lionel Messi and Argentina's tournament yet again. It was set up based on their side of the draw for them to win. It was Lionel Messi's probably his last, Copa America. And guess who won? Lionel Messi and Argentina. It took a while, and they beat a great Colombia team in a match that I don't think was vintage in the way that it was played on the field, but history will remember it. as yet another win for Lionel Messi in Argentina.
Jordan Wilson.
Nothing much to add. This was Messi time. I mean, I'm gonna remember it as Canada doing a number in this tournament going far. But from the beginning, from the halftime when they played Canada and they took a bit longer, and the looks that Messi gives referees, I'm not saying he's buying them or paying. I'm just saying it's his time. The fans sneaking in or fans going to see Canada play that maybe are Canadian wearing an Argentina jersey. This is Messi mania. Everyone's just reaching for his coattails and his ankles just to get the most out of him and squeeze him for the last juice that he has. But this has been an exciting Copa America. I've enjoyed it thoroughly.
Oliver Platt.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think we'll remember it through Canada's tinted glasses, and they had a great run, and obviously we'll remember that really fondly. I think the tournament as a whole, like, some of this was a joke, to be honest with you. Like, what happened last night was pretty disgraceful, and I think they're very fortunate that there weren't more serious consequences out of that than there was, and they got the game off in the end, it seems like. Like, you had players fighting opposition supporters in the stands in the semi-final. You had the chaos last night of people charging and trying to get in the stadium and security all over the place. On a much lesser end of the scale, you had the condition of the pitches at these matches, which was nowhere near good enough for a major tournament. Like, this is on CONMEBOL. They're the organizers of this tournament, and Wheels is right. That won't be the case in 2026. But I do think CONCACAF, US Soccer, whoever, if we're going to have this tournament in North America in the future, they cannot let CONMEBOL be the sole and primary organizers again, because at the end of the day, it's still in your country, and this is a really bad look the way this ended up.
Yeah, definitely some splashback on the U.S. Soccer Federation, who could use a little bit better PR at the moment. A quick word on Canada then. I know we mentioned, and it's got to be quick, Ollie, so I'm going to assign this to you. Because you were with the team, I know we all watched it closely. I think we're all kind of going to go through football withdrawal without the daily footy after the month we've had. We've been spoiled. What does this say about where Canada is, considering they went the furthest, and the seemingly disarray status right now for Mexico and the U.S.?
Yeah, I think it's obviously a massive turnaround from where we were late last year when we couldn't make the Final Four of the CONCACAF Nations League, right? And now you can, I think, imagine going into the next edition of that tournament and believing that Canada can win it. So, look, a tournament is different than doing it over, a sustained period of 2 or 3 years, and really demonstrating that you're the best team in this region. But I think this team has taken major steps forward in terms of the way they play, in terms of new players coming in and adding more depth to the group. I was really impressed with the way a lot of players did in that third place playoff who didn't normally start in this tournament. So there's reasons to be really positive and optimistic going forwards here about Canada's hopes of competing in, the tournaments they're going to be competing in before that 2026 World Cup.
More to discuss on One Soccer Today later in the week. But for now, let's get to our Visa Women's Football Report. It was the 6th meeting between Canada and Australia since 2022, the last time we will see Canada in action before the Paris Olympic Games begin. In the end, it was a 2-1 win for the Canadians. Let's hear from their boss post-match, Bev Priest.
Bev, Canada 2, Australia 1. Your initial reaction to this match?
It was enjoyable. I think, we had some moments where they had moments, we had moments, but I think overall you could see the real shift that the group have put in. There's a group that have been working hard behind the scenes because their season had finished. I thought that they, you could see they put the work in. And I think that the biggest thing that stood out to me was that 22-player family. I think everybody contributed, whether they were on the pitch or on the bench. I think the comms was really, really good. I was just pleased, I think, to push at the very end there. Adversity, we conceded, we come back. Really pleased overall, because I think, Australia are a top side. Tactically, it's a very tough game. People can't switch off when they're defending, and I thought the group really stuck at it and got their rewards in the end.
Like you said, we conceded early, fought back in that first half, and eventually take the lead through a finisher. Can you just speak again to the depth in the squad and how important it is to have that 22-player family close out a game?
Yeah, I mean, everybody in this squad is trusted. I think, they all did their job. They all came on, had an unbelievable attitude, and the encouragement, whether you've been brought off or whether you've been brought on, has been outstanding. So, yeah, I think the depth is going to be one of our strengths, right? And even just the tactical versatility that we showed tonight, I think that's also something we've been working on. But yeah, really happy overall. I think, you know, outcome aside, I was more interested in the performance, the commitment, and getting some minutes into some key players' legs. And I think we got that. We got a good balance across the squad. And then, yeah, we turn this around now to go into another game, and we'll review it, right? The most important thing now is we keep growing and growing as we get closer to game one, and from there grow again. So, yeah, overall, really happy.
Time to wrap up the show with our Tony Bet top picks that will also get into an MLS primer, one match per analyst. Let's start with Inter Miami and Toronto FC. Jordan, making sure I got the numbers right. TFC, they did get a victory to snap the streak, but plus 359. I'm pretty sure we won't see Lionel Messi in this match.
No, I personally, I don't. I say this with respect. I don't think they need him to get that dub. I think they're going to beat TFC. I also think that there's going to be a lot of goals in this match. More than 3. So north of 3, whatever that betting is, I don't really bet. Wheels bets for me. I give him the money. He does the business. But
I think that got a Japanese baseball interpreter in trouble.
But Inter Miami for sure is getting this one done.
All right, Gareth Wheeler. Let's talk about Vancouver Whitecaps and Vanni Sartini. Brian White has scored 4 straight games. The line plus 137 right now as an anytime goal scorer, Brian White. But for the match, Caps favored at minus 143 at BC Place. SKC plus 320.
Might be just a little bit out of range for me. I do like both teams to score in the over. Sporting Kansas City's finally got their act together. They won 3 straight in all competitions, and the Whitecaps got through a very difficult week with 3 away games and coming away with 3 wins as well. Sporting Kansas City are as healthy as they've been all season. Vancouver haven't been a great home side this season as well, just about mid-table in terms of the data and analytics. I like both teams to score an over 2.5 in this one because despite Sporting Kansas City improving, they are dreadful defensively. I'm tempted to take Brian White to score at plus 154. I just can't totally get there. If the number shifts out a little bit more, then perhaps that's something that I can absolutely back. But at this price, no. But Sporting Kansas City, like I said, are leaky at the back.
Oliver Platt, that leaves us with CF Montreal, who are on the road to New Jersey and are huge dogs at plus 540. They've had a better run of form recently, and you think that could be some good value on CF Montreal, no?
Yeah, not so sure, to be honest, Adam. If you're feeling optimistic, maybe you could take Montreal on the handicap, but they've had a really home-heavy schedule lately, and I think they needed to do a lot more with it to be in the position that they'd like to be in right now. You look at their road form, and there's not a lot to shout about, and in actual fact, some very heavy defeats this season on the road for CF Montreal. So I'm not feeling super confident backing them against the Red Bulls.
Yeah, I'll say this. The Red Bulls, second best team, expected goals per 90 minutes at home in Major League Soccer. CF Montreal's second worst expected goal differential per 90 minutes away in Major League Soccer. Yeah. Skews to the home side.
There you go.
All right. Well, we've done it, ladies and gentlemen. We survived Vamos. We survived the Copa America. And
we thrived.
Copa America, let's be honest. And through the European Championship as well, including a busy weekend in the Canadian Premier League. And Gareth Wheeler, I believe there is a brand new episode of a certain program called Match Night that is available to see
Great episode
right now for One Soccer. Ollie produced the show, so if he says it's a great episode, it's a great episode. We're up for today. We'll see you on Thursday. Thanks for joining us on One Soccer.